bullet shattered the window 3 inches from Simone Carter's face. She didn't scream.
Down.
She looked at the 3 armed men coming through the rain. Then at the bleeding stranger beside her. Simone had no idea he was Kang Tae-jun, one of the most feared men in Seoul.
You should run.
And when he told her to run, she ran straight toward the men trying to kill him. She knew how to disarm a man, but she refused the gun.
Simone.
Temporary replacement?
Is that yours?
No.
Of course it isn't.
20 minutes after meeting him, Simone Carter was carrying one of Seoul's most dangerous men out of an assassination.
Can you drive this?
No.
But I learn fast.
Now 2 vehicles were hunting them through Seoul.
Why were you at that hotel?
Because neither of them understood yet that the answer was the reason both of their lives were about to change.
3 hours earlier, Simone Carter had been sitting beside her mother's hospital bed, wondering how much a human life was supposed to cost. Grace Carter slept beneath a thin white blanket, while rain streaked the windows of Hansong Medical Center. Machines measured her heart. Machines measured her oxygen. Machines measured everything except the one thing Simone cared about most: time. Dr. Han So-yeon stood beside Simone with a tablet pressed against her chest. So-yeon spoke gently. The surgical team can still do the procedure. Simone looked at her. But, So-yeon hesitated. The financial authorization expires tomorrow. Simone already knew the number. She had known it for 6 days. 180 million won. Her insurance covered part of it. The hospital assistance program covered another part. The amount remaining might as well have been 1 billion. Simone looked at her sleeping mother. Grace had spent 27 years telling her daughter never to confuse desperation with surrender. Now desperation was winning. So-yeon lowered her voice. "I've requested another extension," Simone asked. "Will they give it?" So-yeon did not answer. That was answer enough. Grace stirred. Her eyes opened. She looked first at Simone, then at So-yeon. "I'm not dead yet." Simone leaned closer. "You're also not supposed to be awake." Grace smiled faintly. "You inherited your bossiness from somebody." So-yeon excused herself. Grace waited until the doctor left. Then she studied Simone. "What did they say?" "They said you need sleep." Simone. Her mother had always been able to put an entire interrogation into her name. Simone looked down. "We need the money by tomorrow." Grace's expression softened. "No." Simone looked up. Grace repeated herself. "No. You don't even know what I'm about to say. I know you." Grace reached for her daughter's hand. "We are not destroying your life to extend mine." Simone's jaw tightened. "I'm not discussing this." "You should." I said no. Grace's fingers closed weakly around Simone's. "You left America because of me. I left because I wanted to. You took that job because of me. I took it because rent exists. You stopped sleeping because of me." Simone forced a smile. "That one is probably capitalism." Grace almost laughed. Then the laugh became a cough. Simone immediately reached for the water. Grace watched her daughter with a sadness she did not speak aloud. When Grace finally rested again, Simone stepped into the hallway. Her phone vibrated. A message from Lee Nari. "Call me. Now," Simone called. Nari answered instantly. "I found someone." Simone closed her eyes. "Nari, listen first. I'm not borrowing from loan sharks. This isn't a loan shark. That sentence has never made anything better." Nari lowered her voice. "There's a man looking for a companion tonight." Simone went still. "No." "Simone, I know how it sounds. It sounds exactly how it sounds. He's offering more money than you need." Simone started walking. I'm hanging up. Nari rushed the words. He's not some random creep. The arrangement came through one of the private concierge agencies. One night, dinner, private event, companionship. Their contract says no forced intimacy. Simone stopped. One night? One night. How much? Nari told her. Simone did not respond. Nari said her name carefully. Simone, that's insane. I know. Who pays that much for dinner? Someone who can. Simone looked through the hospital window at Grace. Her mother was sleeping again. Nari said, You don't have to do it. Simone whispered, Send me the address. That address led to the 27th floor of the Miran Hotel. It led to Kang Tae-jun, and eventually, to gunfire. But when Simone first saw Tae-jun, he was not bleeding in an alley. He was sitting alone at a table large enough for 12 people. Black suit, black shirt, no tie. One glass of water untouched in front of him. The private dining room overlooked Seoul in sheets of rain and light. Two men stood outside the door. Simone entered wearing a simple fitted black dress beneath her olive coat. Tae-jun looked at her once, not up and down, straight into her eyes. That disturbed her more. He gestured toward the chair opposite him. Sit. Simone remained standing. You requested company. Yes, not obedience. Something almost amused him. Sit, please. That's better. Simone sat. Tae-jun studied her. You're American. So are millions of people. Black American. Simone's expression cooled. Is that a problem? No. Good. Tae-jun took a sip of water. What do you think I want from you? Simone answered immediately. I'm hoping dinner. And if I wanted more? Then you hired the wrong woman. Tae-jun's eyes narrowed slightly. Most people were careful around him before they knew who he was. Simone was careful in an entirely different way. She seemed to know he was dangerous. She simply had more urgent problems. Tae-jun asked. Why did you accept? Simone said. Money. No invented story? You're paying me. You're not adopting me. Another almost smile. Then Tae-jun slid an envelope across the table. Simone opened it. The amount was there. All of it. Her eyes rose. You haven't asked me to do anything. I needed someone here. Why? Tae-jun looked toward the windows. Because 3 men downstairs are waiting to see whether I came alone. Simone's hand stopped on the envelope. She looked toward the door, then back at him. What exactly did I walk into? A dinner. You just said 3 men are watching you. They often do. Who are they? If I knew, they wouldn't still be downstairs. Simone pushed the envelope back toward him. I'm leaving. Tae-jun's voice remained calm. You can. She hesitated. You're not stopping me. No. That was when the lights went out. The first explosion came from the parking level. The windows trembled. Tae-jun stood instantly. One of his men opened the door. Sir, we have a breach. Gunfire erupted in the corridor. Tae-jun looked at Simone. Stay behind me. Simone stared at him. You brought me into an ambush? I didn't schedule it. The door burst inward, and from that moment, nothing in Simone Carter's life belonged to the plan she had made. If you're new here, welcome to Afro K Timeless Stories, where love can begin in the worst possible place, and one desperate decision can uncover a war nobody saw coming. If Simone's situation already has you asking whether you would have stayed or run, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me, because that hotel ambush was only the first secret of the night. By sunrise, Simone had driven Tae-jun to a private medical facility hidden beneath an office building in Gangnam. Si-ho Ji-hoon was waiting. Ji-hoon took one look at Tae-jun's blood-soaked clothes, then at Simone, then at the delivery truck she had half destroyed. His face remained completely blank. What happened to the car? Simone pointed at Tae-jun. Ask your boss. Ji-hoon looked at Tae-jun. Tae-jun said, She saved my life. Ji-hoon's expression changed by less than an inch. That was enough to show shock. Dr. Han So-yeon arrived 10 minutes later. She cut away Tae-jun's shirt and examined the wound. The bullet passed through. Simone exhaled. So-yeon looked up. You can stop holding your breath. Simone realized she had been. Tae-jun noticed too. He said nothing. While So-yeon treated him, Ji-hoon pulled Simone aside. How much were you paid? Simone looked at him. For what? To get close to him. Simone laughed once. It had no humor in it. You people are unbelievable. Ji-hoon stepped closer. You appeared on the night someone tried to assassinate him. I appeared because your boss paid for company. Ji-hoon's eyes hardened. Who recruited you? An agency. Name. Simone folded her arms. You know what? No. I'm done answering questions like I committed the shooting. Tae-jun's voice came from across the room. Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon turned. Tae-jun said, enough. Ji-hoon looked from his boss to Simone. Then he stepped away. Simone picked up her coat. I need my money. Tae-jun said, you'll have it. Today. Yes. And after that, I never see any of you again. Tae-jun met her eyes. If that is what you want. Simone left. Ji-hoon waited until the door closed. Then he asked, do you believe her? Tae-jun looked at the empty doorway. No? Ji-hoon nodded. Then Tae-jun added, but I believe she didn't know about the attack. Ji-hoon frowned. How? Tae-jun thought about the gun sliding under the motorcycle. She had 3 opportunities to take a weapon. And? She refused all 3. Ji-hoon looked toward the door. That proves nothing, Tae-jun said quietly. It proves something. Simone returned to Hansong Medical Center with the money before 9 in the morning. The surgery was authorized, Grace cried when Simone told her. Then Grace demanded to know where the money came from. Simone lied. She said an American charitable foundation had approved emergency assistance. Grace watched her too long. Simone knew her mother did not believe her, but the surgery began. For 6 hours, Simone sat in the waiting room. Nari arrived with coffee and questions. Simone answered almost none of them. When So-yeon finally emerged, she looked exhausted, but she smiled. The procedure went well. Simone covered her face. The sob escaped before she could stop it. Nari wrapped both arms around her. For the first time in days, Simone allowed herself to believe the nightmare was ending. It lasted 11 minutes. Then 2 men in dark coats entered the waiting area. Simone recognized neither. One sat across from her. The second remained standing. The seated man spoke politely. Ms. Carter? Simone looked at him. Yes? My employer would like the money returned. Nari stiffened. Simone's pulse slowed. Which employer? The man placed a photograph on the table. It showed Simone entering the Miran Hotel. Another showed her leaving in the delivery truck with Tae-jun. The man smiled. You spent 1 night with Kang Tae-jun? Nari whispered. Simone? The man continued. That makes people curious. Simone stared at him. Tell your employer to be curious somewhere else. His smile disappeared. You misunderstand your position. Simone leaned forward. No, you misunderstand mine. My mother is recovering from surgery 10 meters away. If you threaten me here, I become extremely unreasonable. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then the man placed a business card on the table. No name, only a number. Call before midnight. They left. Nari stared at Simone. Kang Tae-jun? Simone closed her eyes. Please don't. You slept with a Mafia boss? I did not sleep with him. You spent the night with him? There were bullets. Nari blinked. What? Long story. Nari lowered her voice. Simone, Kang Tae-jun is not just rich. I figured that out around the 3rd gunshot. That evening, Tae-jun received the surveillance photographs before Simone ever called. Ji-hoon placed them on his desk. Someone approached her at the hospital. Tae-jun looked at the images. How close? Close enough to speak. Who? Dong-wook's people. Tae-jun stood. Ji-hoon said, we should move her. No. Ji-hoon seemed surprised. Tae-jun buttoned his jacket. We ask. You're going yourself? Tae-jun looked at him. She saved my life, Ji-hoon replied. That usually means we send flowers. Tae-jun walked past him. I dislike flowers. Simone was in the hospital cafeteria when Tae-jun appeared. Everyone around him seemed to sense something before they understood it. Conversations lowered. People moved aside. Tae-jun stopped beside Simone's table. She looked up. Her expression hardened instantly. No. He sat. I haven't said anything. You came here. That was enough. Tae-jun placed the surveillance photographs on the table. Simone looked at them. I already met your fan club. They aren't mine. They knew your name. So does half the city. Simone leaned back. What do they want? You. Why? Because they think you matter to me. Simone stared. I met you yesterday. I know. Then explain that to them. I doubt they would believe me. Why? Tae-jun held her gaze. Because I came here. Simone almost laughed from disbelief. This is insane. Yes. My mother is recovering from surgery. I know. Stop knowing things about my family. Tae-jun's expression changed subtly. Come somewhere secure until I understand who ordered the hotel attack. No. They will return. Then send security. They can be bought. So can you. His eyes sharpened. Simone immediately knew she had struck something. But Tae-jun only said, not by them. She stood. This conversation is over. Tae-jun remained seated. Then he said the one thing that stopped her. The men who approached you work for Cha Dong-wook. Simone turned. And? He ordered 3 people killed last month because one refused to answer a question. Simone's face changed. Tae-jun continued. If you remain here, they may use your mother. Simone sat again. Her voice became quiet. If anything happens to her, it won't. You cannot promise that. Tae-jun looked directly at her. No, but I can promise something else. What? If they come for your mother, they will have to go through me. That was the first time Tae-jun made the promise. Simone did not know yet how much it would cost him to keep it. She agreed to move Grace to a protected recovery floor. Simone herself went to Tae-jun's secure residence for 48 hours. 48 hours became 4 days. On the second night, Simone walked into the kitchen at 3 in the morning and found Tae-jun making instant noodles. She stopped. He looked at her. She looked at the pot. You own this entire building. Yes. And you're eating that? Yes. Why? He considered the question. Because I'm hungry. Simone opened a cabinet. Move. Tae-jun raised an eyebrow. You're taking over? I'm preventing a crime. She found eggs, green onion, garlic, mushrooms, and sesame oil. Tae-jun watched as she transformed his miserable noodles. He asked, You cook. I survive. That was not my question. It's my answer. He leaned against the counter. You always do that. Do what? Answer the question you prefer. Simone looked at him. So do you. For a moment, they almost smiled at the same time. Then Tae-jun's phone rang. His expression changed instantly. Ji-hoon's voice came through the speaker. We found the car from the hotel. Tae-jun straightened. Driver? Dead. Anything else? A pause. Then Ji-hoon said, Something you should see. The car had been abandoned beneath an overpass. Inside the trunk was a body. Not one of the attackers. A young accountant from Tae-jun's organization. His fingers had been broken. In his pocket was a hospital bracelet. Hansong Medical Center. Simone's mother's hospital. Tae-jun stared at it. Ji-hoon said, They're telling us they can reach her. Tae-jun's voice dropped. Move Grace now. Ji-hoon nodded. Then a gunshot shattered the windshield. The attack came from above. Tae-jun shoved Simone behind a concrete pillar. Ji-hoon returned fire toward the overpass. Another shooter appeared behind them. Simone saw him first. Ji-hoon, right. Ji-hoon turned and fired. The attacker disappeared behind a vehicle. Simone scanned the overpass. A reflection. Not a person. Glass. Optic. She grabbed Tae-jun's sleeve. Sniper, 11 o'clock, second support beam. Tae-jun looked. How did you see that? Move! The next round struck the pillar. Concrete sprayed across Simone's cheek. Tae-jun pulled her down. Ji-hoon tossed them car keys. South exit. They ran. A vehicle blocked the ramp. Simone looked toward a maintenance stairwell. Not the car. Tae-jun followed her. They climbed. Gunmen entered below. 3 flights up, Simone stopped. Tae-jun almost collided with her. What? She listened. Footsteps above them too. Simone whispered, They boxed the stairwell. Tae-jun drew his pistol. Simone grabbed his wrist. No. His eyes narrowed. You have another suggestion? Simone pointed at a fire door. Parking ventilation tunnel. Tae-jun looked at her. How do you know? I saw the building schematic near the elevator. You memorized it? Apparently. They entered the service corridor seconds before attackers reached the landing. Inside the narrow tunnel, Tae-jun looked at Simone differently. Not attraction. Not yet. Recognition. She was hiding something. Later, back at the safe house, Tae-jun found Simone cleaning the cut on her cheek. He took the antiseptic from her hand. I can do it. She frowned. So can I. I know. That answer made her let go. Tae-jun cleaned the wound carefully. Simone watched him. You're surprisingly gentle for someone people keep trying to assassinate. I have many talents. That sounded arrogant. It was. She laughed. A small sound. Tae-jun's hand stopped. He realized he had never heard it before. Simone noticed him looking. What? Nothing. Liar. Tae-jun returned to cleaning the cut. Then he said quietly, You knew where the sniper was. Simone's body became still. I saw the reflection. You memorized the building layout. I have a good memory. You disarmed a man in the alley. Lucky. You knew how to check my wound. Simone looked at him. Are you interrogating me? No. Sounds like it. Tae-jun placed the antiseptic down. I'm asking who I brought into my house. Simone's expression closed. You brought in the woman who saved your life. Tae-jun nodded once. And I'm beginning to think that wasn't luck. Before either could say more, Ji-hoon entered. His face was grim. Grace Carter is gone. Simone stood so fast the chair fell backward. What? Ji-hoon spoke quickly. The transfer team arrived. The hospital says the authorization was valid. They took her 15 minutes before our people reached the floor. Simone's breathing changed. Tae-jun saw panic replace control. Find the vehicle, he ordered. Ji-hoon said, already tracking traffic cameras. Simone grabbed her coat. Tae-jun blocked her path. You stay here. No. Simone, that is my mother, and whoever took her expects you to react. Then congratulations. They understand me. She tried to pass. Tae-jun caught her arm. Simone turned on him with such fury that even Ji-hoon stepped back. Let me go. Tae-jun released her immediately. Simone stared at him. He said, Fine. You come. Ji-hoon looked shocked. But you follow my instructions. Simone answered, If they're good instructions. Ji-hoon almost smiled. Good enough. The ambulance carrying Grace was found abandoned near the Han River. There was blood inside, not Grace's. One attacker had been stabbed through the hand with a medical hairpin. Simone stared at the blood. Then, despite everything, she smiled. That was my mother. Tae-jun looked at her. You're certain? Simone picked up the bent hairpin. She used to stab my hand with these when I touched food before Thanksgiving dinner. Ji-hoon stared at the pin. Your mother attacked an armed kidnapper with that? Simone looked at him. Now you know where I get it. A camera nearby had captured the transfer. The abductors moved Grace into a refrigerated delivery truck. Ji-hoon traced it to an abandoned fish processing warehouse near Incheon. Tae-jun planned entry through the west loading dock. Simone rejected it. Too obvious. Ji-hoon looked irritated. We do this professionally. Simone pointed at the building schematic. So did whoever kidnapped her. She identified a drainage passage connected to the old processing floor. Ji-hoon stared. How did you find that? Simone's finger remained on the map. Building code. Tae-jun looked at her. What did you do before Seoul? Simone did not answer. They entered through the drainage tunnel. Ji-hoon went first. Tae-jun followed. Simone came third despite Tae-jun's objections. Inside, the warehouse smelled of salt, rust, and old blood. Grace was tied to a chair in the central processing room. One man guarded her. Too easy. Simone whispered, It's bait. Tae-jun nodded. For once, he did not question how she knew. Ji-hoon circled toward the electrical room. Tae-jun moved left. Simone stayed behind machinery. Then she saw Grace move her eyes. Not toward Simone. Up. Simone followed her mother's gaze. A pressure line ran above the room. Refrigeration gas. And beside Grace's chair sat a crude trigger. Simone understood instantly. The warehouse was not a hostage site. It was a trap designed to turn toxic if anyone entered the center. She whispered into Ji-hoon's radio. "Do not cut power." Ji-hoon stopped. "Why?" "Ventilation is keeping us alive." Tae-jun looked up. Simone explained quickly. "If they trip that cylinder, this room fills." The guard reached for the trigger. Simone ran. Tae-jun shouted her name. She vaulted a conveyor rail, slid beneath a hanging hook assembly, and slammed into the guard before his hand reached the switch. They crashed onto the floor. The man punched her. Simone's head snapped sideways. He reached again. Grace kicked the trigger box away with both feet. Tae-jun reached them and struck the guard once. The man stayed down. Simone cut Grace free. Grace looked at her daughter, then at Tae-jun, then back at Simone. "This is the foundation that gave you the money?" Simone closed her eyes. "Mom," Grace looked at Tae-jun. "You're the reason people kidnapped me?" Tae-jun answered calmly. "Yes." Grace slapped him. Ji-hoon stared. Tae-jun did not move. Grace said, "Good. Now we understand each other." Simone covered her face. "Mom!" Tae-jun touched his cheek. Then, unbelievably, he smiled. That rescue changed everything. Ji-hoon stopped treating Simone like an accidental civilian. Grace stopped believing Simone's financial story. And Tae-jun stopped pretending his interest in Simone was merely gratitude. He began appearing wherever she was. At the hospital. At the apartment where Simone collected clothes. At the cafe where Na-ri worked. One afternoon, Na-ri watched Tae-jun's car parked across the street. She looked at Simone. "He has been there 40 minutes. Simone did not look up from her coffee. "I know. Is he protecting you?" "Apparently." Na-ri looked through the window. "Simone? What?" "That man is staring at this building like it personally offended him. He stares at everything like that." Na-ri leaned closer. "I think your Mafia boss likes you." Simone nearly choked. "He is not my Mafia boss." Outside, Tae-jun watched Simone laugh. Ji-hoon sat behind the wheel. "You could go inside." Tae-jun said, "She told me not to." Ji-hoon glanced at him in the mirror. "And you listened?" "Yes." Ji-hoon looked genuinely disturbed. This may be serious. But the deeper Tae-jun became involved, the more dangerous Simone became to his enemies. At a formal Kang family dinner, Hee-jin made that clear. The dining room contained politicians, executives, family members, and people whose wealth had lasted generations. Simone wore a deep emerald dress, her shoulder-length twists styled neatly away from her face. She sat beside Tae-jun. Hee-jin looked directly at Simone. "I understand Americans are more relaxed about these arrangements." Simone knew exactly what she meant. Tae-jun set down his glass. "Aunt?" Simone touched his wrist. "Let her finish." Tae-jun smiled. "I only mean that companionship purchased through an agency is not usually considered an introduction to a family." The room went silent. Simone's humiliation was now public, so her answer had to be public too. She folded her napkin carefully. "Mrs. Kang, you're right about one thing." Hee-jin raised an eyebrow. Simone continued. "Tae-jun paid for my company that night. Several people looked down. Simone did not. But when somebody tried to murder him, I stayed without being paid." Hee-jin's expression tightened. Simone added, "When his enemies kidnapped my mother, I went after her without being paid. And when your family's security failed, I helped bring her home without being paid." Tae-jun watched Simone. She was not raising her voice. That made every word sharper. Simone finished. "So if the question is whether money explains why I'm still here, the answer is no. Maybe your family should ask what does." Nobody spoke. Tae-jun leaned back slightly. His eyes never left Simone. Hee-jin had intended to expose her. Instead, she had exposed the room. "Afro K family. I have to ask you this. After everything Simone had survived, would you have stayed at that table or walked away from the entire Kang family? Tell me in the comments. And if you're enjoying Simone and Tae-jun's story, you're watching Afro K Timeless Stories. Hit like, subscribe, and stay close, because the secret Tae-jun was about to discover would make that dinner look harmless. That secret arrived 2 nights later. Ji-hoon found Simone's sealed American records. He placed the file on Tae-jun's desk. Her name appears in a federal training database. Tae-jun opened it. Simone Carter, former emergency response specialist, advanced tactical medical training, urban extraction certification, crisis architecture and evacuation planning, then a disciplinary suspension, then nothing. Tae-jun looked at Ji-hoon. What happened? 4 years ago, Chicago. Ji-hoon placed a photograph beside the file. A burned industrial building. 23 casualties. One of them was Simone's father. Tae-jun stared at the image. Ji-hoon continued. The official investigation blamed an evacuation failure. And Simone? She argued the plans had been altered before the fire. Tae-jun looked closer at the report. At the bottom was the name of the consulting corporation that had acquired the building 3 months earlier. Miran International Holdings. A Kang subsidiary. Tae-jun's face went cold. Ji-hoon said quietly, "That company was controlled by your brother." Everything changed. Tae-jun went to Simone immediately. She knew from his expression that he had discovered something. What? He placed the file on the table. Simone looked down. Her face emptied. "You investigated me. I investigated the attack. You investigated me." Simone. She opened the file. Her father's photograph was inside. She closed it. Slowly. "You had no right. My brother owned the company." Simone froze. "What?" "The building in Chicago." She stared at Tae-jun. "No." "I confirmed it." "No." "Simone." She stepped backward. "My father died because somebody disabled emergency exits in that building." "I know." "You knew?" "I learned tonight." She stared at him as though he had become a stranger. Tae-jun stepped closer. Simone backed away. "Don't." He stopped. She asked, "Was your family involved?" "I don't know." "That is not good enough." "I will find out." Simone's eyes filled, but she refused to let the tears fall. "My father called me from inside that building." Tae-jun said nothing. Simone continued. "He told me people were trapped on the 4th floor. I told the fire captain there should be another stairwell." Her voice cracked. There wasn't. Tae-jun understood her wound then. Why she memorized exits. Why she mapped buildings. Why she refused guns. Why she could not walk away when someone was trapped. Simone whispered, "I sent them toward a door that had been sealed. You didn't know. They died. You didn't know. My father died." Tae-jun's voice became softer. "That was not your fault." Simone looked at him sharply. "Do not tell me what belongs to me." Tae-jun accepted the blow. She pointed toward the door. "Leave." He did. That night, Min-suk made his move. The police raided Tae-jun's offices. Prosecutor Yoon Sung-won announced evidence linking Tae-jun to trafficking, murder, and illegal overseas financial operations. Accounts were frozen. Properties seized. Lieutenants disappeared. And one piece of evidence placed Simone directly inside a money transfer operation connected to the Chicago fire. Television reporters surrounded Hansong Medical Center. Simone's face appeared on every screen. Foreign accomplice. Paid companion. Possible criminal intermediary. Hee-jin called Tae-jun. "You brought her into this family and now she is destroying it." Tae-jun answered, "No." Hee-jin demanded, "No. My family brought this to her first." Then Tae-jun hung up. Park Dae-sik disappeared the same evening. Ji-hoon believed he had betrayed them. Tae-jun was no longer certain whom to trust. Then Nari vanished. Simone received the video. Nari sat tied to a chair. Behind her stood Min-suk. For the first time, Simone saw Tae-jun's brother without the mask of family politeness. Min-suk looked into the camera. "Simone Carter, you have something that belongs to me." Simone watched from Tae-jun's safe house. Tae-jun stood beside her. Min-seok continued. Your father kept records before he died. Simone's face changed. She whispered, What records? Min-seok smiled on the screen. Ask your mother. Simone turned toward Grace. Grace went pale. That was the moment Simone understood. Her mother had known. Grace sat slowly. Your father sent me a package 2 days before the fire. Simone stared. And you never told me? He told me not to open it unless someone came looking. What was inside? Documents, a storage key, photographs, Tae-jun asked. Where? Grace looked at him. America. Simone closed her eyes. Min-seok did not want her because of Tae-jun. He wanted something her father had hidden. The story was bigger than the night at the hotel, bigger than her mother's surgery, bigger even than Tae-jun's family war. Her father had discovered something before he died, and Min-seok had spent 4 years making sure it stayed buried. The storage key was not in America. Grace had lied. She had sewn it into the lining of the old cream cardigan she wore during her flight to Seoul. The small brass key opened a safety box at an international records service. Inside were photographs, account ledgers, building inspection records, and one encrypted drive. The documents showed Min-seok had used Kang shell companies to acquire distressed properties overseas. Then he had altered safety reports, insurance fraud, money laundering, and in Chicago, the building fire had destroyed evidence connected to a larger financial operation. Simone's father had discovered it while consulting on emergency systems. He had planned to testify. He died before he could. Tae-jun read the documents in silence. Then he said, My brother killed your father. Simone looked at him. You don't know that. I know him. Tae-jun's jaw tightened. He would burn a building to destroy a ledger. Simone looked toward Nari's frozen image on the laptop. Then we get her back. Tae-jun shook his head. We get you out of Korea. Simone turned. No. Min-seok wants you. Exactly. That is why you leave. Tae-jun. No. Simone stepped closer. You promised they would have to go through you. I remember. Then stop trying to put me behind you. His face tightened. I am trying to keep you alive. And I'm trying to keep Nari alive. You think I don't understand? I think you believe protection means deciding for everyone else. Tae-jun stared at her. Simone continued. My father died because people with power decided ordinary people did not need to know the truth. That landed. She pointed to the files. We are not repeating that. Tae-jun looked at her for a long moment. Then he asked, What is your plan? It was the first time he gave her the decision. Simone's answer changed their relationship forever. We let Min-seok think he won. The exchange would happen at an abandoned container terminal. Min-seok wanted the encrypted drive. Simone would carry a copy. Ji-hoon would infiltrate from the harbor side. Tae-jun would approach visibly. The real evidence had already been duplicated to 3 locations. But Min-seok anticipated them. When Simone arrived, Ji-hoon's radio went silent. Tae-jun saw the problem immediately. Abort. Simone looked toward the containers. No. Ji-hoon is compromised. So is Nari. Gunmen emerged behind them. Min-seok had moved first. Tae-jun and Simone were forced to their knees. Their weapons were taken. Min-seok approached slowly. He looked at Simone. You really are remarkable. Simone said nothing. Min-seok smiled. My brother always did have poor judgment around wounded things. Tae-jun's expression changed. Min-seok noticed. There it is. He looked almost delighted. The obsession, Tae-jun said quietly. Be careful. Min-seok laughed. What will you do? Glare at me? He turned to Simone. My brother has burned alliances, threatened prosecutors, emptied accounts, and started a war because somebody frightened you. Simone looked at Tae-jun. He did not deny it. Min-seok leaned closer. That is not love, Ms. Carter. That is pathology. Simone's voice remained calm. No. Min-seok raised an eyebrow. She continued, Pathology is burning a building because a man found your accounting records. Min-seok's smile disappeared. That was confirmation. Tiny, but visible. Simone had been waiting for it. So had the microphone hidden inside her necklace pendant, the same oval pendant she had worn the night she met Tae-jun. The pendant was transmitting, not to police. Sung-won controlled too many of them. It transmitted to So-yun, to Hye-jin, to 3 journalists, and to Park Dae-sik. Because Dae-sik had not betrayed Tae-jun. He had disappeared to find the original financial archive. Min-suk realized too late. He grabbed Simone. Tae-jun surged forward. A guard struck him with a rifle. He fell. Simone drove her heel into Min-suk's instep and twisted free. Gunfire erupted from the harbor side. Ji-hoon was alive. Nari screamed from inside a container. Simone ran toward the sound. A guard chased her. She reached the container row. 20 identical steel boxes, Nari shouted again. Simone stopped, listened. Sound reflected strangely between containers. She closed her eyes. Another shout. Left side. 3rd row. Elevated. Simone climbed the locking bars of a container and pulled herself onto the roof. A bullet struck steel behind her. She ran across the top, jumped the gap, landed hard. Pain shot through her ankle. She kept moving. Below, Tae-jun fought toward her position. Min-suk ordered the crane operator to move. A suspended container swung across the row. Simone dropped flat as 20 tons of steel passed inches above her. The crane began lowering, directly onto the container holding Nari. Simone looked toward the control booth. Too far. Then she saw the emergency cable. It ran along the gantry. She remembered Chicago. Emergency systems. Redundant stops. Every industrial crane required a secondary cutoff. Simone climbed. Her injured ankle screamed. She climbed anyway. Tae-jun saw what she was doing. Simone! She looked down. He was trapped behind gunfire. For the first time, fear entered his voice. Come back! Simone almost laughed. Their private rule had become a promise during the days in the safe house. If one of them went somewhere dangerous, the other always said the same thing. Come back. Not be careful. Not goodbye. Come back, Simone shouted down. I always do. Then she reached the emergency lever and pulled. The crane stopped. The container hung 6 feet above Nari's. Ji-hoon reached the control operator. Tae-jun broke through the final guard line. Min-suk ran. Simone climbed down the opposite side. Her ankle gave out when she landed. She fell. Min-suk appeared from between the containers. He had a gun. Simone had nothing. He aimed at her. You should have taken the money. Simone looked behind him. Then she smiled. Min-suk hesitated. That was his mistake. He had always believed people beneath him were looking at him. Simone was looking past him. At the forklift rolling silently down the lane, Grace Carter was behind the wheel. Simone shouted, Mom! Grace hit the horn. Min-suk turned. The sound startled him long enough for Simone to kick his wrist. The gun fired into the pavement. Tae-jun reached them. He struck Min-suk to the ground. Then he raised the weapon. Min-suk smiled through blood. Do it. Tae-jun looked at his brother. Years of betrayal stood between them. Simone's father. The attacks. Nari. Grace. The dead accountant. Everything. Tae-jun's finger tightened. Simone said his name. Only his name. Tae-jun. He looked at her. Simone shook her head. Tae-jun understood. If he killed Min-suk now, his brother would become another buried secret. So Tae-jun lowered the gun. Min-suk laughed. Weak. Tae-jun looked down at him. No. Sirens approached. Not police sirens alone. News vehicles. Investigators. Federal financial crime officers. Hye-jin had used every legitimate connection she possessed after hearing Min-suk confess through Simone's pendant. Tae-jun said, Alive, you have to watch yourself lose. Min-suk finally stopped smiling. The public reckoning happened 48 hours later. The same family board that had watched Hye-jin humiliate Simone gathered again. This time Simone entered without Tae-jun. She wore a tailored cream suit. Her twists were pulled into a low, elegant style. Grace walked beside her. Nari, bruised but smiling, followed. Ji-hoon carried the evidence. Park Dae-sik entered last. Hae-jin stood when Simone approached. For several seconds, the older woman said nothing. Then, in front of the board, she bowed. Not deeply, but unmistakably. I was wrong about you. Simone looked around the room. Every person who had judged her was watching. Hae-jin continued. I believed you entered this family because you wanted something from Tae-jun. Simone answered calmly. I did. Several faces changed. Simone smiled slightly. I wanted him to stop getting shot. Even Hae-jin laughed. The tension broke. Then Hae-jin became serious again. You saved this family. Simone shook her head. No. I helped expose what was poisoning it. There was a difference, and everyone in that room understood it. Prosecutor Yoon Sung-won was arrested. Min-sok was charged with conspiracy, murder, financial crimes, kidnapping, and obstruction. Cha Dong-wook disappeared for 6 days before Ji-hoon found him attempting to flee through Busan. The Kang organization changed too. Tae-jun began dismantling the operations Min-sok had corrupted. Not because Simone asked him to become a different man overnight. She was not foolish enough to believe love erased history. But Tae-jun began choosing what kind of power he wanted to keep, and what kind he could live without. 3 weeks later, Simone found him on the rooftop of Hansong Medical Center. He was looking over Seoul. She walked beside him. You're avoiding everyone. Yes. Why? They keep congratulating me. That sounds terrible. It is. Simone smiled. For a while they stood silently. Then Tae-jun looked at her. You're leaving. It was not a question. Simone had been offered a position with an international emergency management organization. A real chance to return to the work she abandoned after her father's death. She nodded. For training. How long? 3 months. Tae-jun looked back over the city. Simone watched him. You could say something. I am thinking, that's dangerous. He almost smiled. Then he said, I spent most of my life believing if I cared about someone, I had to keep them close enough to protect them. Simone waited. Tae-jun continued. You taught me that sometimes protecting someone means letting them go where they need to go. Simone's eyes softened. That sounds suspiciously healthy. I dislike it. She laughed. Tae-jun turned toward her. 3 months. 3 months. And then? I come back. His expression changed. Simone knew what he needed to hear. So she gave him their promise. Come back, Tae-jun said. Simone touched his cheek. I always do. Then she kissed him. Not because he had rescued her. Not because she owed him. Not because of the money that brought them together. She kissed him because after everything, she was finally choosing him freely. 6 months later, the Miran Hotel reopened its renovated top-floor restaurant. The room where Simone had first met Tae-jun no longer belonged to the Kang Corporation. Tae-jun had transferred ownership to an independent foundation created in Simone's father's name. The foundation funded emergency building safety programs in under-resourced communities. Grace attended the opening wearing the same cream cardigan that had once hidden the storage key. Nari stole appetizers from passing trays. Ji-hoon pretended not to see her. So-yeon finally took an evening off from the hospital. Hae-jin complained about the floral arrangements and secretly paid for half the event. Simone stood near the windows. Tae-jun approached. He handed her an envelope. Simone stared at it. No. His eyebrow lifted. You haven't opened it. The last envelope you gave me ruined my life. It saved your mother. Then ruined my life. Temporarily. Simone opened the envelope. Inside was not money. It was a plane ticket. Chicago. And beside it, another ticket. She looked up. You hate flying. I dislike flying. You spent 10 hours complaining the last time. I complained quietly. You threatened turbulence. It was aggressive. Simone laughed. Then she saw something else inside. A small brass key. The storage key. Mounted inside a simple frame. Below it was one engraved sentence. Not a declaration of ownership. Not a promise that nothing bad would ever happen again. Just the words they had earned. Come back. Simone looked at Tae-jun. He asked, too much? She stared at the man who once frightened entire rooms by entering them. then at the key that had helped destroy his brother, then at her mother laughing across the restaurant, then at the city where desperation had once brought her to a stranger's table. Simone shook her head. No. Tae-jun's face softened. Simone reached for his hand. Actually, it's exactly enough. 1 year later, Simone divided her time between Seoul and international emergency response projects. Grace's health remained stable. Nari launched a crisis support nonprofit and forced Ji-hoon to become an unwilling donor. So-yeon became its medical director. Hae-jin never became easy, but she became family. And Tae-jun? He remained Tae-jun. Controlled, dangerous, impossible. But now, whenever Simone traveled, he never ordered her to stay. He simply stood at the airport and gave her the same 2 words, "Come back." And Simone always answered the same way, "I always do." Before you go, tell me this. Which moment changed everything for you? Was it Simone refusing to abandon Tae-jun in that rain-soaked alley? Grace slapping one of Seoul's most feared men after being rescued? Or Tae-jun lowering the gun when Simone called his name? If this story stayed with you, you're part of the family here at Afro K Timeless Stories. Hit like, share this story with someone who loves powerful Afro Korean romance, action, mystery, and justice, and subscribe because another unforgettable story is already waiting. Until the next story, remember this: love should never be the cage that keeps you from leaving. Sometimes, real love is the reason you know you can come back.